into it, you know what I mean? Because this has been my life. I'm a product of this industry. I was sitting in a seat, metaphorically, when I was 20 years old, just like you're sitting. Wanted to do something better with my life. Had nobody to train me, had bad human in training. And I was looking for something better in my life. And guys, so I sat right there. And, I bought one book, and that book made me $11,000. So in my ignorance at 20, I thought, one book, $11,000? A lot of books, a lot of money. Man, I started sending away for every get-rich book you could imagine. Today, hundreds and hundreds. I have one office that we keep just as kind of a museum type. I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. If you were to open my briefcase back there, you will find I'm reading something by E. Bishop Jordan right now, which is a spiritual kind of book. You'll see a Tony Robbins book, which Tony Robbins, by the way, I wrote my first bestseller back in 1992, and Tony Robbins is my first testimonial. He's one of the first who came through my seminars. And he used real estate investing as a vehicle to invest into starting his motivational seminars. So sometimes, guys, the business you choose may be a stepping stone. Some things come along for a reason, some a season, and some what? Some a lifetime. So just because we latch on to one thing, that doesn't mean that's where we got to be. That might be a stepping stone. That might be something preparing us for what we're going to be doing 4 or 5 or 6 years from now. Does that make sense to you? So why am I here? When I went through this whole downturn, guys, in March '08, and I traveled the world, I learned a lot. And I learned a lot about life. I learned a lot about the universe. I learned a lot about all the different religions. I learned a lot about myself having a lot of bad programming and bad information that I was acting on and living my life on. And I was, at that point, a guy who was very human trained, selfish, self-centered, arrogant, finger pointer, judge, and blamer, my way, highway. And you know what? There comes a point when we have great blessings. To whom much is expected, to much is given, much is expected. And a lot of people think that's about money. Not so much about money. There comes a point where the eye gets opened because of the blessings we've been given. And we have an obligation to give that back. The whole reason some of the greatest prophets came to this earth were to give hope, you see. But I can tell you some of the greatest prophets that I have studied, Jesus included, never preached to anybody until he filled their basic needs. Fed them, healed the sick, took care of basic needs, whatever they might be. Who can hear about how do I be a better person until I can pay my bills, my mortgage is caught up, and I know my retirement's going to be okay, and I know my kids are going to go to a great college. That's where I got a great lesson, guys, because I became a product of this industry. I am you. And I continued on feeding my mind, and good things were put in front of me, and breaks and opportunities. And here's what happened 3 years ago. What happened 3 years ago is I had 2,000 employees in 7 countries. Whitney Education Group was the largest education company of its type in the world. And I became the CEO and chairman. And now I was up in this ivory tower, not out here with you, okay? And I hated it. I hated it. I'm a CEO. I don't want to manage hundreds of people. I want to be here passing on. And that's what I've done my whole life. When I learned in 7 years how to become a millionaire, I wrote a book. But I didn't write the book because I thought it would make a lot of money. No, I wrote the book. I still was a high school dropout. I still had some arrests in my life, which we'll talk about later, my younger years. I wrote a book so my son, something happened to me. My son or daughter would be able to pull this book off the shelf and see that their dad wrote a book. I wrote it for my own self-esteem. I wrote it to try to get whole. I wrote it because I felt less than. I felt less than you. And that's why I wrote it. Next thing you know, it gets picked up by a publisher and it starts selling another opportunity. So, guys, opportunities are right there for you, but you've got to push this boat forward. Do you follow that? So when I did this travel the world thing, guys, I swear to you, after I went through this downturn, I'm going to explain it to you this afternoon. It involved a government investigation, which all turned out fine, but it crushed me. And I said, you know what? I'm never going to do this again. I'm never going to sit in front of a group of people like you and pass on what I've learned. It's too dangerous. It's too risky. People are too skeptical. It's hard. The marketing is hard. It's one of the hardest businesses ever. I decided I was going to do it. But I went on my own mission here to learn the part about what life is about. And you know what? Is every business I tried, other seemed to have rubble in front of it. Didn't work. Have you ever had that happen? You keep trying and it doesn't work and it doesn't work. That's cause I wasn't listening to the inner voice. I was wanting to do what I wanted to do. And here's what I came to realize, and this will give you an idea why I'm here. What I came to realize is this, I started out sending away for Get Rich Ads like you. I bought a real estate book. I got financially independent. I built a construction company. I built all types of related companies. My financial education company, $250 million a year, huge. All working with you. All working with 85% of America. And I always wanted to give my blessing back. I always wanted to give back. I always wanted to share. And I'm good at it. I'm good at it. And here's what I realized today, is that, Christians go to church, Jews go to temple, Muslims go to mosque, alcoholics go to Bill Wilson and AA, opportunity seekers come to Russ Whitney. What I realized, guys, was this is my church.